Hello, Longboarding Mom. I am here today with my husband, Jay Clifton. So I'm going to pick his brain and we are going to ask him some questions and stuff. If you guys have a few questions, go ahead and comment below and I'll ask him questions that you guys want to ask him. I have a couple of questions myself that I'm going to start with, even though I know him anyway. But I always say he's the smartest guy I know. Everything goes think, 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 and sticks to him. So he does.
I have a hard time forgetting what I learned. I don't know why.
So today, what I'm going to ask him about is prepping. The first question I'm going to ask is, when did you start prepping?
Being it's 221, I started prepping probably heavy around 2000. I want to say 7 or 8. In that era, I started checking into it and realizing that, yeah, if the lights went off and the power went off and the food got shut down, it would be kind of difficult to have things we needed to keep going. And I was actually bored at work and typed into a computer about prepping. And the guy came on and said, "You really need to get these things. You need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, a means of self defense, and a plan to use all these things." And it kind of stuck with me, and I started watching. And I realized that it doesn't have to be a political unrest like a lot of people are dealing with or a pandemic. It can be something simple like a fire or a windstorm or an earthquake that knocks out the power for a while. You want to have basic things. They say for at least 3 days. Now they've extended it for 3 months. Myself, if you want to be wise about it, get stuff ready for a year. If you can do it with storage and you have the means, get ready for a year.
What did your wife think about that? And me being his wife.
At first, not too acceptive to it because simply I was going, the world's going to end. We got to crawl in a hole and get ready to shoot our way out. And that wasn't the way to do it. It was more like, I have to show you that things are going to get worse and things have gotten worse. It really took hold of me just a few months ago, back in early March and February of 2019, when you walked into a grocery store. And I'm 55 years old, and I say it all the time. I've been into a grocery store a million times, and I never walked into a grocery store and saw completely empty, gutted shelves.
And
Not
that
just the
was
toilet paper, talking beans, rice, flour, basics, pastas,
everything.
everything was gutted. And I realized then, wow, maybe things aren't as stable as people think they are. That kind of got me onto a higher gear of prepping.
That was March 13th, Friday the 13th. We went
Yeah,
grocery shopping.
sure was.
Had no clue what was going on. I
Walked
mean,
in
we kind of
oblivious.
kind of knew that they were talking about something and everything, and we were just going in to do our normal monthly grocery shopping and
Wasn't
found
really
out
even
there
that.
was.
We were just in the area. We were going to grab a few things we wanted to get, and we walked into absolute chaos in the store. Lines longer than we'd ever seen, shelves completely bare, people throwing piles of stuff in the cart, panic shopping almost as you would.
We basically
We
left
were already ready. We didn't have to
left our
worry.
stuff.
We
Yeah, we
walked
didn't
out.
need
Yeah,
anything. We just
kind of looked
were just
around and
like,
went,
wow,
okay,
this is kind
something's
of
going
crazy.
on. Let's get out of here.
So how does your wife feel about this prepping now?
Probably the 75 videos about how to do this and how to do that, how to make this and how to do that. It helped. She's more receptive. My son's more receptive. My daughter, I'm still tugging on a little bit. She has her little kit that we've
She
given
doesn't
her,
live with
but I
us.
think she should do a little bit more.
So yes, we
Uh,
have gotten her prepared and gotten her a couple items for her car and stuff for lugging out and everything.
the thing that I would say is it's not ending. It doesn't end. If you get your bug out bags together and you get your food supply together, and then you realize, hey, maybe I should start storing a little bit more. If you can find it, ammo. If you can't find it, batteries. Simple things that people don't think about. Paracord, rope, twine. These are things that may not be readily available at the closed down hardware store that's no longer open because the government's decided to shut your town down rather than just shut down your restaurant.
What?
Remember, we've been denied any access to anything they say. So if they go, okay, we're not just going to shut down the restaurant. Hardware stores, you can't open. Grocery stores, you can only open for 2 hours a day with a curbside business. You've got to realize that sooner or later, things, once they tighten a noose, if they keep tightening, you've got to become more self-sufficient. Garden seeds, anything to provide for you later on down the road. Anything you think you might need. My wife, it's really funny, she does a lot of the girl things, and she's smart to do it because I can make a lot of things. I can even make rope out of a good tree or twine. I can't make girl things out of twine and rope. So
And I don't want that either.
she,
So, what do you say to the people that are having a hard time getting their spouse on board? If one person is fully on board and the other person is not on board, how would you?
some of the things I did with you, I told you that this would be probably a problem and this might be a problem. And then later on, we were watching the news. And sure enough, the news said, oh, look, this could actually be an issue later on down the road. Oh, wow, they're not planting as much as they should be in the Southwest. So maybe your food is going to be a little bit more expensive this year. If you can point out little things, I tried to tell my neighbor downstairs, don't vote for Biden. Now gas prices are going up. He doesn't care. He rides an electric bike. However, his son works at a gas station. He sees it too. Gas prices are going up. You cannot control things. So I would say try to point out little things that are changing for your spouse and then let him see the rest of it for himself.
So before we started preparing stuff. We always shopped wisely. We always had food, extra food and stuff. I always buy what I need for the week or more, and extra if I have the extra money and stuff. I'm going to do a grocery shopping trip that I'm going to have you guys all tag along with me and stuff. What is your favorite prep food?
I actually prefer the Mountain House. The reason I prefer the Mountain House is because
That's
it
long-term
tends
storage.
to have meat. It tends to have a flavor to it. Yes, it does have a 25, count them, 25-year shelf life. So if you buy it and in 3 years the world's rainbows and snowflakes, you can pull it out and throw it on the burner and eat it, or you can take it out and throw it away. It's your call. But it'll last for 25 years. My advice to you, do not throw it away. Uh, the other ones are out there. Some of them are cheaper. And they're cheaper because
It doesn't have to be a long-term storage prep food. It could be spam, it could be beans, rice.
it can even be
You
cans
can
of soup. The
cans of
chunky
soup,
soups.
yeah.
I watched a guy that his name is worth to mention. He's a great person to research, and as is the Prepared Mind. These are two channels that I would definitely check out. One of them is again
I was
Fourth
going to ask
Dimension,
him who his favorite prep channels are to
and the
watch.
next one would be the Prepared Mind channel. Go to the early stuff. Kind of go back. Lately, they've been talking about the current events, but
And
they
that's what I
do
was going to
talk a
ask
lot
you
about
too.
prepping.
The prepping videos and stuff have kind of gone towards news, current events and stuff. There are channels that are working on prepping and what you should do and stuff. And
Yeah, if I was to say it best, there's a lot of channels out there that used to be a lot about, hey, this is the bags you need, this is the gear you need, these are the tarps you should have, this is the kind of fire starter you want to get. If you want a really good compass, this is the kind. If you need a good cooking system, this is the way to go. And they a lot have broken off onto Biden's doing this, Kamala's doing that, Trump's doing this, Biden's doing that, and it really doesn't help if you're trying to get started. I would really look into the early channels, early prepared channels and prepper channels, only because they're a lot less political. They're more what you need to do, what you need to get.
so I just got Escape with Jay said he made dehydrated ground beef for his kayaking trip down the
Kayaker
Mississippi.
ourselves. Yes,
That's
we will.
awesome. How did the ground beef turn out? I wonder. His dad is um,
Currently canning
currently
it.
canning ground beef and bacon and stuff. So he wants to teach me how to do that.
I wonder if the dehydrated beef isn't a little bit like maybe even almost like a jerky or a pemmican, because you're drying it and you're taking all the moisture out, and you can naturally season it beforehand. So it'd probably be pretty doggone good. Okay, that's a neat one. Dehydrated beef is good. We have food sealers and we have different ways to package food. I wouldn't mind getting a dehydrator. Just so huge, they're gigantic.
Is it a dehydrator? Yeah, the small
Just so-
dehydrator that you find in the grocery store, or is it one of those big freeze dry dehydrators? Those are really neat. I want to get one of those.
The one thing I
So,
would say is if you're on a budget, and most people are on such a budget,
yep, true.
you go to a restaurant supply grocer. Those are like United Grocers on the West Coast. There's a couple other ones, United Food Chain or something like that. These are places that actually supply wholesale to restaurants. Go there. Your beans will be 50-pound bags for 25 to 30 bucks. Your rice will be a 25, 30-pound bag. It'll be maybe 11, 12, $15. But these are pounds of food. We're talking 100 pounds of food. It doesn't have to be the only thing you get. Like she said, Spam. I watched a guy do a video on Spam. He opened it up, he cut it up, he ate it, he laughed and giggled and said, wow, that was good. Then he flipped the can over. The can of Spam was 5 years old. 5 years old. And it was just fine, simply because these things, just because it's in ink in the bottom says eat by this date, in most cases, they'll go much past that date. I'm not saying test the limits and see how long. I always say use the smell test, but at the same time, most canned foods will keep well past their expiration date or their use by date. Dry canning is a good idea. She's learning about oven canning. If you can keep food and you can buy food and you can even grow food, another thing, if you can grow it, do it.
Which we're learning. I did my first garden last year, and I
It's
am
a shout out to
starting to
Backcountry Preps. The man did what is called a prepper
Yes.
garden. He takes kiddie pools, he throws potting soil inside these kiddie pools, 4 or 5 bags per pool, put some holes in the bottom for drainage, and he plants in the kiddie pool. This makes it to where you do not have to do a lot of weeding. You don't have to do a lot of gopher maintenance and things like that.
because I'm lazy.
It is growing out of a large, almost like a garden box, but it's a kiddie pool. It costs $9, and it's something that you can do $200-300, and you can have a garden that will feed you fresh vegetables all year long and well into the fall. This is something we did. We grew corn, we grew tomatoes, we grew onions, cucumbers, squash, you name it, we had it. It was really a neat experience, and it's
Radishes.
not that difficult. Again, Backcountry Preps, another great channel to watch. And these are ones that if you go to YouTube, you might want to go check out Rumble, because I know a few of them have switched over because of a lot of the censorship and censorship. Let's just not say anything. It's sad because these men had a lot of good information and they were putting it out there. In the meantime, they were also saying, and I'll say it myself, Pelosi sucks. And that would get him a strike or get him kicked probably going to get her kicked in the leg. I don't care. But this isn't a political channel. This is about preparing, again, your batteries. If you've got all your food and your water and your shelter and your clothing, look into batteries, look into toiletries, look into candles. Candles are something I don't say enough about. They provide heat, they provide warmth, they provide fire, and they can actually be used to seal, water seal things, waterproof things. Wax is a common use thing. It's not a bad thing to get these. But you start slow, start small, start cheap. Don't break the bank. If you can't buy that $500 gun, I would suggest if you do not have a firearm and you're able to purchase a firearm, look at your local buy marts, look at your local Walmarts if they still carry the firearms. A good 12-gauge shotgun runs $200. And if that's all you're needed is for something to keep the bad people out of your house, you don't need much more than a good 12-gauge pump shotgun.
Sorry,
You're allowed to answer.
So do you feel that we're prepared?
I don't only feel that I'm prepared to help me and my family. I'm prepared if I have to help someone else who might be injured. That's pretty decent to say. You must be careful on who you let know. You've really got to kind of be careful on who you trust. It's sad to say, but there are people out there. And I'll say this: I think most Americans are still good, God-fearing, solid American people. Sure, you've got your lunatic fringe group and you've got your crazies, but I hope that most of the people in this channel watching are good people. They're not people going, how can I get this guy? How can I plot revenge? Please don't come look for me. You will not enjoy finding me. I can just say it like that. We're easy to give for advice. I know a lot of things. I know that prepping requires more than just one state of mind. You can't just think about you. You have to think about your children. You've got to think about loved ones that may be older than you. If your grandfather shows up and he's confined to a wheelchair, these are all the things you have to cover in your mind. So you always keep going forward. You keep prepping. I always say in my own statement, never stop prepping. I write it all the time in all the chats I'm in. Never stop prepping, because if you stop prepping, you think you've got it all ready and you think you're all good to go. The first time you need something and you don't have it, you'll feel pretty silly. Again, we buy things all the time. We get things. I learn things. I seen a thing the other day on YouTube, and it was about just a simple fire starter. Cotton balls, little petroleum jelly. What a neat idea.
That was the coolest idea.
She did a video on
I
it
learned how
herself.
to do it.
The little things you don't think about. Again, your batteries.
I'm gonna
your
have him
cloth.
teach me how to tie knots again, because I'm not a good knot tire.
Doesn't
And
hurt.
we kayak all the time, and if I want to go out by myself, I'm gonna have him teach me how to do that.
Nice to
Which
be able to do stuff like that too. If you're not familiar with boats, kayaks, and things like that, maybe even go out and set your butt down in a boat sometime and see what it feels like. Gentleman was just talking earlier about making Pemmican to go kayaking. Kayaking is an absolute blast, joy, it's a relaxation. However, it isn't something you just close your eyes, jump off the dock, land in the seat, and away you go. It's something you learn. And we even have an access that if we have to leave our town, we may leave via kayak. That's just
we do have a couple
the means we have. You always have
routes.
plans.
You
You
always
always
have a
have
plan.
routes. You
That's
always have
something
different ways you're going to go.
Is there any questions out there you have for my husband or me?
I don't preach to be a know-it-all. I don't think to be a know-it-all. I do have some pretty good ideas about dry storage and things like that. Even the food saver is a good one. The food saver is wonderful. It's you can take your clothing and you can food save it, put it in a food saver bag, vacuum pack it down. It not only makes it easier to pack in a pack, it makes the pack thinner, but if you were to drop it or lose it or slide down into a ditch and it gets wet, you still have dry clothing. Everything has a purpose and everything has another purpose. In other words, it's not a food saver to me. It's a clothes packer. It's a fire starter packer. It's a vacuum packer that seals my gear against water. These are just little things that help.
Speak with Jake. He wrote, was on the fire department that always said, if you forget the knot, tie a lot.
I have great knots. I delivered hot tubs for a number of years, and it's funny because we're Jays. I'm a Jay myself. I tied a lot of knots. I used to deliver hot tubs with a good friend of mine, and we had to cinch those big things down. They were $3,000 hot tubs, and one fell on the highway. It was ours, so we didn't lose
never
anything.
lost anything on a load, camping, kayaking.
It's a statement I learned from the guy I worked with. He looked me straight in the face and said, "Don't ever let anybody else tie down your load. If you don't tie down your load, you can expect it all over the highway." And the one time in my life I let someone else tie down my load, I had to catch a kayak falling from the roof of my truck out the window of my pickup truck, slowing down on the side of the freeway, pulling off the road. Because he didn't tie it down right, and I let him tie down my load. It's just it's a statement. And no, we don't lose things. I do not have slip knots. But yeah, practice. Practice is always the case. Anything, even your fire equipment, your camping equipment, you've got a great tent and you love that tent, but you don't know how to set that tent up, it's useless. And it's even worse if it's dark and there's no flashlight and you're trying to set it up in the wind. So practice
Go
some of these
hiking
things.
with your bug out bag. If you have a bug out bag, take that out with you.
Kind of a neat thing to do is actually to go into, if you have the wooded area and the access to it, go into a wooded area that you have access to and you can kind of do what you want out there and build yourself a lean-to and see how good you are at maybe pulling an axe and a saw out and a small hammer or a small hatchet and chopping up sticks and sticking them in the ground and putting up a lean-to and putting brush over it and just have a look at it. Even though you're not going to spend the night in it, look at it and go, would I want to if I had to, kind of thing. It's practice. It helps. You can get done with one and look at it and go, oh yeah, I could stay a week in there. Or you could look at it and go, wow, I'm doomed. And you want to keep going. You want to keep practicing. It's skills never ever really, I don't think, go away unless you don't practice them. But skills can always come to you. You can always gain another skill. You can always pick something up. Learning, just like information. If you're out there looking for information, check everywhere. Don't pigeonhole yourself to just the religion side. Don't pigeonhole yourself to just the prepping side or the doomsday side or the QAnon side. Look at everything.
And
Everything.
do your own research.
And there you go. Make up your own mind. Don't just go,
so
that
much
guy's
out
good.
there that
He's right.
information out there that isn't true. There's information out there that is true and they're hiding it.
I've heard a lot of things from a lot of different people, and if I got them all in the same room and they sat down long enough to listen to one another, they could probably figure out what's going on. But they're all so only attached to this theory and not to this theory, and they're also attached to this situation and not this situation. So use your own head. I always say trust your gut. I've always thought trust your gut. If you look at a situation and your stomach goes, you might want to walk away. You look at a situation and your mind and your body and your stomach says, yeah, we got this. Proceed with caution, but always trust your own instincts. Trust yourself. Yourself won't normally let you down.
I don't have any more questions.
It's really about basics. John says it best in the prepared mind: food, water. You've got to have a shelter or some way to stay out of the weather. Clothing's very important. If you live in a rainy area, you want something that's going to keep you dry. If you are someone who has to take medicines, and this is a very touchy one because some people can't go down to the pharmacy and say, hey, give me 2 years worth of my meds. They won't do it. So if you have medicines, there's a book called the Davis Drug Guide for Nurses, or the Davis Drug Guide. That's something I would pick up. It has probably some homeopathic and natural alternatives that some may work, some may not. But medicine's a really big one. If you're on a medicine, it's hard to prepare for it. But then again, it's not hard to get amoxicillins like your fish mox and your ampicillins and stuff like that. Those are the ones that you can get for your fish tank. And by golly, if you got ill feeling, you could probably take it yourself. Let's just leave it at that. But the means of self-defense, go by what you know. Don't go buy a machine gun if you've never handled a firearm. Don't go buy a semi-automatic pistol if you don't know which way the bullet comes out of the gun.
They have gun classes everywhere.
And learn first before you go buy anything. Consult people who know. If you have
gun ranges and stuff,
if you're not a person into firearms, but your brother has 1 million of them, talk to your brother first. Let him understand and let you understand what you might be looking for. Because the worst thing to do is get something you have no idea how it works, what it does, or what it's capable of doing. And that's a big one. People have to remember that a gun doesn't go bing, and when it misses the target, it falls to the dirt. That's a real one. About firearms, be careful. But again, medicine, means of self-defense, always have a plan. Plan A doesn't work, maybe we've got plan B, maybe you've got plan C. Again, we have 3 or 4 different ways from the home that we're at. And one of them includes crossing the river and meeting up with another couple and getting us out of here. Because it might be that situation. We don't know.
You never
if
know
I wake up one morning and I find a tank on the bridge that leaves town, I'm going to have to figure another way out. I don't think that's going to happen right now, but I'm prepared. So I would just say keep preparing. Watch other videos.
Keep preparing. Watch the videos. There's lots of good videos on gardening.
Kaz is Fourth Dimension prepping, and Then we have Backcountry Preps. Those are three really good prepared channels. Prepping 101 will cover the, if you're curious about what may be happening or what could happen, Prepping 101 is a good video to watch too, because he goes to the realm where a lot of people don't want to go, and it's pretty brave of him to do it because a lot of people think, "Oh, you're crazy, you're nuts." No,
And he
he's just putting
always
the
says,
information out there and letting you
do
make
your
your own
research,
decision.
which
That's what we say also.
do your own research on everything. What works best for your family and stuff. When you prep it, don't buy stuff that you're not gonna eat. You're wasting your money. Buy things that
Buy small amounts, try them first.
yeah,
If
definitely.
you like them, then go for
definitely
more. But if you
try
don't go down and
your
buy
preps
6
before you
buckets of
buy
one
it
kind
all.
of food and then eat one of them and go, "Oh no." Yeah.
Seasonings are a definite must to stock up on. You don't want rice and beans. And no
Even a little bit
flavor.
of candy.
Candy for
John
the
said it
kids.
best. Every now and then you're
Toys
having a
for the
rotten day
kids
and a
if you
rotten
have little
time.
kids and stuff. Board games, anything to keep the kids busy and stuff. Something fun to do, coloring books.
The candy was a mental thing. Even if you're having a terrible day and it's all
Not
wet
just for
and
the
it's rainy and
kids.
it's muddy and it's yucky, you get everything dried off, and just that Snickers bar. Wow, nice. Okay. Same thing for, like she said, the kids. Kids are not going to understand some of the things you might have to go through. Let's face it, these days kids are so plugged in. As soon as the power goes out, they go, "My life is over. The
We
internet
had board
is
games.
crushed."
We played outside. We rode our bikes. We did all kinds of stuff like that.
We're the last generation of go outside and play.
Yes, we
Say it
are.
that way. Keep prepping. Don't stop. Look at references. Check the YouTube channels. Check the Rumble channels. Try to pay attention to the people who are trying to tell you what to get. I mean, you can pay attention to the ones that say, "We're down, crawl in a hole, dig a foxhole, get your gun loaded up, here come the cops." You can listen to that, but at the same time, it doesn't help you if
It
you're
doesn't help
really
you
trying to
mentally
prep.
either. It really doesn't.
If you're trying to prep, get your food ready, get your water. Always, those are the first two important things. Your water, more than anything. Purification system, a way to transport water, a way to store water. Probably one of the most important things out there. With water, you can do a lot. You can. You can do a lot with just plain water. If you have dirty water, unfiltered water, and untreated water, you're in a sewer. It's not going to save you. It's not going to do it. Your water, concentrate first, then go to the food, and just work your way down the line. Again, you don't have to be rich, and you don't have to have enough for a year. Start for a few months, work your way
start
up.
slow.
I'm good.
I'm
Hope
gonna
you
say
guys are okay too.
I'm gonna say Super Bowl or no Super Bowl.
I'm going to say this. Pray. I'm going to say that. I believe in God. I'm a firm believer in God. Pray. If you don't have a relationship with God, work on that.
His mom
Work on that.
said nowhere in the Bible that
Yeah, she's read the Bible front to back, back to front, side to side, middle to top, middle to bottom. She's read the Bible pretty much every way, and at no time in the end times does it say, "Hey, everything's going to get rainbows, unicorns, and candy canes." So, pray,
keep prepping.
keep prepping.
I'm gonna see you guys later.
Bye, YouTube.
We're gonna do a shopping video and let you guys see what we buy on a normal basis and the extra stuff that we buy for our prep. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thank you.